Okay, let's jump right in. We're going to take a look at just a single week in November 2025. It's not that far off, but the headlines from these 7 days? Wow. They paint a picture of a world that is changing at a dizzying speed. So first up, in Washington, D.C., we get what sounds like good news, right? A record-breaking political standoff is finally over. After 43 long days, the U.S. government is back open for business. But hold on, because at the very same time, something is happening that just a few years ago would have been completely unthinkable. The new leader of Syria, a man with a past linked to jihadist groups, is getting a formal welcome at the White House. So how on earth do those two things happen in the same week? Well, here's the thing. These two headlines aren't just a coincidence. They're actually symptoms of the same condition. It's a story about a totally remade political landscape, where the old rulebook for both domestic politics and global affairs is basically being thrown out the window. That 43-day shutdown, the longest ever, caused some serious economic pain. We're talking airports grinding to a halt right before Thanksgiving. But the way it ended, it wasn't some grand compromise. It ended because the Democratic Party itself started to fracture, with some senators breaking ranks to vote with Republicans, leaving the biggest issues totally unresolved. And here's the real kicker. Even though polls showed the public was blaming Republicans for the mess, the Democrats got almost nothing out of it. Their number one demand, extending these healthcare tax credits, was completely left out of the final deal. It left a lot of people on the left calling it a complete and total capitulation. So while all that political drama was churning at home, this absolutely stunning pivot was happening in foreign policy. President Trump met with Syria's new leader, Ahmed al-Sharaa, and gave him this surprisingly warm, personal endorsement. And this new alliance came together fast. Syria immediately joined the coalition against IS, and in return, the U.S. suspended sanctions to help with rebuilding. Now, let's just be really clear about who we're talking about here. This is a leader whose own path to power started as a fighter for a group that was a predecessor to IS, and all of this was happening while the U.S. was ramping up a deadly and, frankly, legally questionable war on drug gangs down in the Caribbean. And this contrast, right here, just perfectly captures the theme of the era. Old, historic alliances are fraying, while these new, very pragmatic partnerships are being formed. So while America is embracing a former enemy in Syria, its oldest ally, Great Britain, is reportedly hitting the pause button on sharing intelligence because they're worried America's anti-drug operations look an awful lot like war crimes. Now, this same spirit of high-stakes, high-risk moves isn't just happening in geopolitics. It's also completely redefining the world of tech and finance, where the stakes are getting unimaginably high. It all starts with the Japanese tech conglomerate SoftBank. They decide to sell their entire and very profitable stake in the chipmaker NVIDIA. The sale price? A cool $5.8 billion. But they don't just sit on that pile of cash, not for a second. SoftBank immediately pivots, funneling that money into a single staggering $30 billion investment in one company, the AI giant OpenAI. And even that is just one piece of this almost unbelievable vision, a potential $1 trillion AI and robotics hub. I mean, the scale of these bets is just breathtaking. Numbers this huge are, maybe not surprisingly, fueling some intense anxiety among investors. With tech stocks taking a hit, the big question on everyone's mind is this whole thing just a giant, precarious house of cards? So what's fueling all this? Well, a crucial piece of the puzzle is a practice called circular spending. Think of it like this. The AI chipmaker, NVIDIA, invests a bunch of money in an AI lab, like OpenAI. What does OpenAI do with that money? They turn around and use it to buy NVIDIA's chips. It creates this closed loop that can make revenues look bigger than they are and creates this tangled web where it's hard to tell what anything is actually worth. And this level of disruption, it doesn't just stay in Washington or in Silicon Valley boardrooms. It's reshaping the very fabric of our society, from how our kids get educated all the way to how criminals recruit new members. Over in Italy, a whole new generation of mafia members are stepping out of the shadows and onto social media. The old ways of intimidation are being replaced by something much more modern and, in a way, much more insidious. They're basically using the TikTok influencer playbook to project power and recruit new blood. They flaunt these glamorous lifestyles, designer clothes, fast cars, and they package a criminal enterprise in the aspirational language of social media. And for a younger generation, that promise of easy money can be incredibly attractive. At the same time, back in the United States, another traditional institution is being completely upended, the public school system. Florida is pioneering what some are calling deschooling. It's this radical experiment where public education funds are taken out of traditional schools and given directly to parents to customize how their kid learns.
Now, with the state cash suddenly available, some parents are using those public funds for things that go way beyond traditional school. In social media groups, people are trading tips on how to get reimbursed for Disney World passes, Netflix subscriptions, even home gyms. All of it filed under educational materials. It raises some really serious questions about quality control and what the word education even means anymore.
So when you put all of this together, the political shocks, the trillion-dollar tech gambles, the social upheaval, what does it really tell us about the world we're heading into in 2025?
From just this one week, a few powerful themes just jump right out. Political instability is basically the new normal. Technology is being driven by these massive, high-stakes bets that look an awful lot like a bubble. And old systems, everything from schools to the mafia, are being remade at a rapid and kinda chaotic pace.
And all of that leaves us with one final and pretty critical question about this moment in time. When your whole world is built on such high-stakes gambles, on fragile alliances, and on constant, non-stop disruption, you just have to ask yourself, how long can a future like this possibly hold together?